Welcome to the Manuchehri podcast. Over the last 30 years, it has been my joy to assist humanity in aligning with their magnificence so they may heal, discover their natural gifts, and communicate with loved ones living on the other side. May you also experience delight while we dance in the powerful, intuitive world of energy. Let's get going. Welcome to where energy meets the divine. We're going to talk about all things mystical and spiritual, all things magical. And if you've listened to this podcast before, welcome back. If not, welcome. Please like and subscribe below. Before I go to the phone lines and start answering questions, I wanted to talk about the third layer of the auric field. I know many of you have heard me talk about self-love and how important it is, but now let's talk about it from kind of a textbook perception of the aura. I'll even make a little drawing. Hopefully it'll make sense. When I look at energy, I focus on the 7 primary chakras and the 7 layers of the auric field. The aura and chakras extend out through affinity. So that's why you may hear someone talk about the 8th chakra or the 9th or the 11th. I'm hyper-focused on helping humans to have a good life on earth. And that's why I focus on the 7 primary, because I have a lot to do with, of course, our connection to spirit, our higher self, God, creation, our intuition, but also having a meaningful and fulfilling life on planet Earth, because that's where we are. The consciousness that you and I are connecting with and communicating with is on Earth. And humans deserve to be happy, like everybody else, but I think humans deserve to be happy. So the aura is one of the largest aspects of your energy field. It's the largest real estate of your energy. It's meant to extend 3 city blocks in every direction. And I know some of you have heard me say this before. What I've learned when it comes to teaching, that saying things multiple times is actually good. So, because it's kind of a new topic for a lot of people. It certainly was a brand new topic for me 30 years ago. And I get a lot of my knowledge and information from the divine. So not from other people's books, although I'll make references to some books that I think are really good, or parts of certain all books are lovely, by the way. Certain references to certain techniques in certain books that could be really, really helpful. And I'll make a suggestion for the aura as well today. So the auric field in this 7 layer of divinity, if we will, each one of the layers of the aura have its own unique structure and color. Even a phrase or a word is unique to each layer of the field. So they're very unique, and they're supposed to stay kind of in their own groove. They're not meant to bleed into each other or lean into each other or back away from the layers. They're meant to just be aligned and kind of cuddled up to each layer, but not infringing on the layers. One of the layers of the auric field can actually create more problems like leakage than others. And you don't want to leak from your auric fields. It's such a huge piece of energy that once we get issues occurring in the auric field, that could be problematic, of course, for the body, but maybe for the mind, especially the 3rd layer of the auric field. It's called the mental plane. So one of the reasons why some people have a hard time staying focused in life or getting the answers that they want or having the intuition that they desire, that they deserve. Everyone deserves to be happy and fulfilled. It's because they think entirely too much and they think negatively. This is not normal or healthy. It may be familiar. It might be common. It might be what a lot of beings do while they were in physical form, but it is not healthy. It's not helpful. It doesn't help in any way, shape, or form to overthink and to think negatively. So the mental plane is literally in the center of the auric field. So I'm going to make this really quick drawing just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. The mental plane, this 3rd layer, is structured, meaning it has lots of beams of light in it that go in horizontal and vertical fashions even though the layer is kind of a circle, it's kind of an oval. So this would be the third layer. This would be you and your first layer of your auric field, which is a hologram of all of your anatomy and physiology and complete and total health. This is the emotional response system, which has a completely different structure. It's unstructured, actually. It's not structured like the third layer or the first layer. And this is the third layer of the auric field. It's supposed to be lemon yellow. So when you have negative thoughts about anything, which a lot of people think negatively about everything, leaks can start to occur, like an opening in the third layer could happen. And I know some of you who are not watching this on YouTube can't see what I'm drawing, but you can go to YouTube and look at the video if you want to. But an opening will occur in the field and energy will start to leak out. And as it's leaking out, so in this picture that I'm drawing, it's leaking out into the fourth layer of the field. So it's adding more energy into the field than what it's supposed to have, a different type of energy, which could make the fourth layer of the field kind of warp out into the fifth layer of the field. So now we're having system issues. And if we have a leak in the third, there could be some vacant energy here, and the second layer could start to pour into the third layer. Now we have our emotional body and our mental body mixed up. We have our feelings for others mixed in with our mental plane. We're having this chain reaction moving from one field to the next, just from one leak in the mental field of your aura. This is why I also speak so frequently about you loving yourself and caring about yourself and being joyful and kind to yourself, because it can have a negative effect when you don't in your auric system, which takes longer to heal, because then we have to, stop leaks in the second, the fourth, maybe the fifth layer of the auric field. And we're having then all kinds of misinformation occurring in your energy system that makes it difficult for you to sense and choose correctly for yourself. It makes it challenging when your mental plane is having issues because your human mind is constantly overthinking and analyzing in a negative way. It's almost like sending pollution to the third layer of the auric field. And as we know, with pollution and toxicity, eventually it spills out into other things, right? Pollution in the ocean ends up spilling out into the earth. Just like, even though I'm sure golf courses are lovely and I'm sure golfing is very fun, they use tons of herbicides and pesticides to make that lawn so lush and beautiful. And many times builders will build lots of homes around golf courses. Well, I wouldn't buy a home on a golf course unless they used the minimal amount of herbicides or use mostly organic herbicides, because eventually that material is going to leak out of the golf course and move into the lawns and the groundwater of homes. If you live on a golf course, you can even change the energy. And no matter what we do, if our energy is elevated, everything works out. So, which we'll be talking about today in the broadcast as well, is that weird stuff does happen to us, but if your energy is elevated, the solutions that come to you will be divine. The ramifications will be much less, so that even if you didn't listen to your intuition or follow your insight, or you didn't listen to your hunches, no need to worry. If you keep your energy elevated as much as possible, which means to be happy, and it feels good to be happy, then you will attract wonderful solutions. So keep that in mind. But I just wanted you to see from another perspective, again, why it's so important to be loving and kind to yourself. It will make your mental plane happy. Then it won't leak out its energy into other fields and create a little bit of chaos into your auric system. Okay, I hope that's helpful. So we're going to go ahead and head over to the phone lines. And I'm going to listen to questions and answer them. When I answer questions, I answer for the individual. I'm very psychic. I don't have to see someone to read their energy. Hearing their voice is certainly helpful. But these answers, even if they may be for the person who called in, they could very well be helpful for you too. So just keep that in mind, that even though it is personal for someone, it could be helpful for you too. Okay, here we go.
Hello, lovely Marie. This is Zara here. I'm from New Zealand. I've been on my spiritual journey for the past 1 year when my lovely dad crossed over. Since then, I've been seeing angel numbers on a daily basis. I've been smelling him very often. I feel his touch. It's like a tingling sensation on my arms, face. I've had lots of dreams of him where he's given me messages. Sometimes I feel like he talks to me, but it's in my mind. I can't really make out what he's saying, but I feel like he's sometimes joking. Like I just get the sensation of a joke, like a funny joke. Um, I feel like he's trying to connect with me. The other thing is that my dad married when he wasn't here, and my mum got really upset about that, and she sort of hadn't, from then, she didn't have a good relationship with him and sort of stopped talking and stuff like that. But after his passing, mum is sort of still sometimes gets angry, has anger outbursts, and starts cursing him, which makes me really upset. And sometimes I feel sorry for her, why she's doing all this, but sort of it, sometimes I can't help myself but get angry at her. I just wanted to see what you think of this. Thank you so much. Bye.
Hello, Zara. It's nice to listen to your voice and hear your story. Your dad is connecting to you. He is communicating to you. He's not trying to, he is. You're trying to understand it. I love that you can sense him and smell him and feel him, but he's absolutely connecting to you. You want to work on raising your vibration. You keep your energy pretty low. And your dad's in the heavens, which is an extremely high vibrational reality. So humans need to raise their energy as much as they possibly can. And why are you worrying so much about your mother? This is her issue. It has nothing to do with you. I will tell you the reason why I think she's angry at your dad still, because sometimes when we have people in our family, which in this case was a family by marriage for her, and if we have issues and they're not resolved and then the person dies, the person living gets even more upset because now, whether they're conscious of it or not, they recognize that they can't resolve these issues in their physical form. They actually could if they raise their vibration and learn to communicate with the other side. They would have no problem resolving these issues, but most people don't do that. So they don't even realize that it's an option or a possibility. But this is your mother's issue. It has nothing to do with you. And I think you're wasting your time trying to figure it out and helping her. So can you ignore this? One of the things that I do when I want to ignore or raise my frequency despite the energy that other people might be exhibiting, so I don't align to lower frequencies, which may have nothing to do with the person, it's just my issue or my stuff where I'm lowering my vibration, is I imagine that I'm standing or walking in a glacier meadow because I think they're gorgeous. So if you could, when you're around your mother, and I would also set a boundary with her, please don't speak negatively about my father. This is over with. Go get some therapy if you want to tell her that. You could. Allow yourself to have a mental experience where you're in a place that you really love, that's very fulfilling for you, that you really enjoy, that's fun for you. That's what you need to do. You really need to work on yourself. I would stop being so worried about working on other people or fixing them or understanding them. I would spend all of my time, if I were you, loving me, caring about me, and wanting myself to be at its best possible function and joy while I'm living here on earth. That's what I think anyway. I hope that's helpful.
Hi, Marie. This is Steve, North Carolina. I recently had a situation with a coworker where I had to file a lawsuit to get my property back from them, and that's been kind of rough. I haven't gotten everything back, but I got some of it back. If you could give me any insight into what I was supposed to learn from that, that would be appreciated. Also, I'm in a very stressful, high pressure job that I don't like doing. And I'm really looking for a possibility of ways, something else that I can do. I always had an interest in alternative medicine, Ayurvedic acupuncture, actually
Great.
studied acupuncture.
Great.
Wasn't able to get that practice going and sustain it, so I just kind of went back to what I knew. I currently get a lot of headaches, have a hard time getting a good sleep, just very stressed out from the job and the situation from the coworker. So, any insight you could give me on how to raise my vibration to get past this, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. I would not think about the coworker. I believe the universe is trying to teach you to be mindful of who you share your stuff with. And that even though you are kind and compassionate and generous, you need to connect with kind, compassionate, and generous people. One of the rules I have in my life about money, but we can talk about your equipment as if it's money, is I don't lend money unless I don't care if someone pays me back or not. So obviously I have a limit on that, but then I don't care. I'm happy to, if it makes me happy to lend some money to someone, I don't care if they pay me back. So I want you to start doing that because older souls have a hard time. They're very nice to everyone, and not everyone is an old soul. Not everyone is kind, and not everyone is compassionate. And remember, old souls are learning self-compassion. So that means they have to have boundaries, many of them, for themselves about who they lend things to, who they, you know, use their generosity towards. So I wouldn't lend out tools or whatever equipment it was in the future unless you don't care if that person gives it back to you or not. And you can just say, yeah, I don't lend out my tools. And then that person will go, okay, I'll go borrow it from someone else. Or they might even not be nice to you, which would be like another validation. This is not a kind human being. So because old souls are too nice, they have to create their own boundaries within themselves before they start giving away personal assets or personal, valuable things that they have, uh, and only give and lend the things that you won't care. You won't mind replacing it. You won't miss it. You won't need it. I think that's a great rule for you to follow. And you need to work on your self-worth because this is about self-worth. When we allow ourselves to be attracted to people who would betray us, lie, be unkind, cheat us, it is a representation of our relationship to ourselves. And that's why the acupuncture business didn't, create the wealth that you wanted, is because of lack of self-worth. Business is really, especially when you talk about entrepreneurship, it's about loving oneself, cherishing oneself, validating oneself. One of my favorite what if cards is, what if I am magnificent and my internal genius glows into the world with every breath I take? This is what people need to feel about themselves to create success. And I don't care what the topic is. You have to feel this way about yourself because it happens to be true, but you have to feel that way about yourself. Okay, I hope that's helpful. And headaches are from blocking your intuition. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. My name is Joanna. So I don't see pictures in my head at all. And I'm curious what you can pick up from me about that. I also related to some of the things that some of the other people said because I've been going into a room and the light's been flickering and I went downstairs and I plugged something in and it kept powering off. And then periodically I also sometimes hear people whisper my name and I get a lot of headaches. I am slowly working on myself because I think I'm probably lacking in self-love. And I'm wondering if there's anything you can tell me about the blockage and why I can't see anything in my head. If it's something that I'm doing to myself or if it's something that I was born with and if I can actually heal that. I would really appreciate your help. I think that you are wonderful for doing all of this, and thank you very much. And I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Joanna. It's my absolute pleasure. First of all, I want you to let you in on a little secret. Psychics don't care if we see, hear, or feel. We just want to know. Sometimes I have full vision of something, but I don't have it just in my head. When I talk to dead people, I see them as if they're standing right next to me. So a lot of my visual psychic impressions are in the room with me as if I'm part of the story. And sometimes they're in my head too. It really doesn't matter. I love that you're recognizing flashing lights and you're hearing your name. I think you need to work on feeling safe with having multisensory abilities. It's probably not from this lifetime. Everyone, whatever the issues are in our life or things we wish were different, because they may not even be issues. I can think of things in my life that I thought were issues, and later I'm like, that's not even an issue. That's a good thing, because humans tend to be so negative with that mental capacity of ours. But I do think from a previous lifetime, you had strong, active psychic abilities and something happened to you. Big surprise, right? And so now, even though you live in a time period where people can be successful, create an income, have a professional practice, and that we're encouraging everyone to step into their multisensory ability, you are probably carrying some fear from a previous lifetime because your life was taken for, the natural abilities that you recognized very early in your life. Not everybody recognizes their psychic ability from birth. I didn't recognize any of mine until I was in my late 30s. Even though I had had some experiences, they were pretty far in between each other, like a 10-year period or 5-year period. And I just didn't believe I was intuitive. I never even considered it, quite frankly, until I became a mom. Becoming a mother, I recognized I was intuitive when it came to my children and taking care of them. It was also a very, very joyful experience for me. So here's what I would love for you to do. The next time you hear your name or the lights flash, and anyone can do this, by the way, if your psychic abilities are beginning to bleed into your life, which is amazing, I would love for you to, when you're having a moment like that, you're like, oh, I think I'm having an intuitive moment, sit down, look at your body and tell it what century it is. This is 2024, not 1522 or some other, dark ages time period. And tell your body it's safe to be intuitive in this lifetime. Remind your body about the security that you have, how much money you have in the bank or the education you've had, whatever you have determined is part of your security, because that will help your body feel safe too. Especially if you've been a woman in a previous lifetime. Even men today who've been women before, when women didn't create livelihoods and were dependent on masculine energy for safety and for food. Sometimes we carry that fear into our body, and somehow a lot of people believe that having a holistic or creative career will not allow you to eat and have a dwelling, which is not true. People can have whatever they believe they deserve. So I hope that's helpful. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Marie. This is Joe Davis from New Mexico. So I am curious, and my question is for myself and several other people I know who have been in the mental health and health field, have wound up with very challenging and complicated medical issues. And I was just wondering what your intuition has to say, or not, I'm not saying that completely right, but just what your thoughts are on why some of us are really dealing with these multiple complicated health issues. In that, are we carrying other people's traumas and didn't clear them, or is it just an individual choice? Just curious to see what your thoughts are on that.
Great question, Joe. Really, really good question. I have a lot of thoughts about this because my spirit guides talk to me about it significantly while I did energy work. I was one of those lucky people who, when I worked in the hospital, I loved it. And of course, I loved the people, but I loved the technical part of nursing too. I loved IV pumps and IV lines. I loved sutures. I loved it. Not that I wanted my patients to be in any pain whatsoever, but I loved assisting with bone marrow aspirations. I love the technical part too. So what happens, a lot of people who move into the healing world, and of course, working in a hospital or with mental health patients, that's the healing world. All of it is healing. They go from this huge desire to help people. So they walk into the room, into the hospital with their heart chakra wide open. But unfortunately, because they overcare, this is the real reason. This is the reason why people would hook onto someone's energy or hold on to other people's traumas, is because they walk in with a very focused heart chakra in an overly empathetic standpoint, which I do not recommend. Period. I don't recommend that. I'm probably one of the few spiritualists, or the only one I know currently, but there's a lot of people out in the world that I have not met or heard, that tells people to stay away from their heart chakra, especially old souls. Old souls already have huge, enormous, gorgeous heart chakras. They do not need to perfect it. Many people need to step away from their heart chakra, except for young souls. They need to be in their heart chakra because they're learning compassion. Old souls are learning self-compassion. And so when you overly emit concern and worry for others, you're going to leak your life force out of your heart chakra. And the heart chakra is the highest receptivity center for energy for the human body. So when you're leaking your life force, the chances of getting an illness is high. I took a class from just right when I started my business from Carolyn Mason. Took a workshop, like a week-long workshop in I forget where it was, but far away, maybe Illinois. I'm not sure, somewhere in there. And she said healers, many of them, and she means energy healers, people who work in the conscious healing world, but she could have certainly meant other type of professionals, notoriously get heart disease. And she was actually encouraging people not to move into the healing world. I was sitting in the audience and I'm going, well, no, just get them to, I didn't say that to her, of course, but I was just thinking, no, get them not to hang out on their heart chakra and be too empathetic. The emotion for the heart chakra is neutrality. The highest vibration of the heart chakra is neutrality because this is the location of universal love. Universal love is neutral. God is neutral. God does not, or the universe, energy, to me, God is energy, does not think that anything is terrible or bad, which I know humans have a very hard time understanding. That's why spiritualists don't talk on the topics of war or violence, because most humans would be insulted and think that it was crazy. But when you're talking to the universe shows us the beauty in all things. So if practitioners, no matter what you do in the world when you're caring for others, could learn to stay away from their heart chakra, rest in the lower half of their body, they're also going to get great intuitive solutions that could propel their patients into health and healing faster without leaking out their life force. Even healers are not supposed to use their own energy when they work on people. You're not supposed to use your own energy. You're supposed to channel an energy that first feeds the healer, and then it moves through the healer onto the person they're touching. It can also come through the walls and the ceiling and the floor. It doesn't have to move into the healer first. But one of the beauties of being a healthy healer, a healer that moves energy in a way that's healthy for him or her too, is that you look younger, you're healthier, your body is fit, because you're taking in tons of subatomic particles that feed your body as well. I hope that answers your question. I hope that was a great question, by the way. They're all great, by the way. I just happen to really enjoy that one.
Hi, Marie. This is Jen. I'm calling from Bothell, and I have a career question for you. I am working on building my own business as a human design reader and coach. And I absolutely love introducing people to human design. I love working with clients. It makes me so happy and full of joy. It's my favorite thing. But I seem to have I'm sort of stuck with the business building side of things, I guess you could call it. Working on my business on getting the word out so people know what I'm doing. And, when I first started this about a year ago, I had lots of clients, lots for beginning business, maybe 3 or 4 a month. But it was consistent and it was really super fun, but it's kind of faded a little bit. And it just seems to be every time I sit down to, write a social media post or do something for my business, I just kind of feel like heavy and lonely a little bit. And I just kind of lose steam and don't really want to do those things. I have a job also that I would love to quit, and I would love to be my own boss. And I'm just wondering if you can see a path for me to be able to make an income as a human design reader and coach. And if so, do you have any tips on how I can make the business part of it a more joyful process? And I've been trying to get into the coaching world for quite a few years now, actually, before I discovered human design. And this has always been sort of a sticking point for me, the business part. So any tips that you have would be super helpful. And I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
So, Jen, you have asked me this question multiple times, maybe not on this platform, but actually I think you did. Because I know who you are. You live down the street from me. So I know exactly who you are. First of all, get rid of the terminology human design. I know it's fairly well known in the astrology world. You're an astrologer. People understand what that means. You can say, I use the human design formula or theory, but start calling yourself an astrologer. You love astrology. And it's difficult when people, I know this is going to sound weird. Maybe it won't to you or to the people who are listening, of course. But when you have a job and you're building a new job, the universe, especially when you become an employee of the universe. So an employee of the universe, and this is my perception, maybe everyone in the world is an employee of the universe, but I think there has to be an alignment in your passion and fulfillment. You're doing something that feeds you, that has like universal awarenesses and consciousness. So obviously you're working in human design, which is an astrology form of, I'm sure it's multiple things, but it's an astrology form for helping people. A surgeon who's great at his job and he's in his passion and his fulfillment, or her passion and fulfillment, they would also be an employee of the universe. All the people who are doing jobs they hate, they don't like, that don't feed them emotionally and spiritually, that is not an employee of the universe, right? That's not working within our universal connection. So when you have two jobs and you're putting a lot of energy towards one of them, it's very difficult for the universe to feed your calendar so that you can actually quit that other job and do this one. You're waiting for everything to shift. I would recommend that you work less hours in the job that you already have so that you have energy available, because the universe doesn't want to exhaust their employees, doesn't want to wear them out. That's one thing. Call it astrology because that's what it is, in my opinion. And reduce your hours in your other job to the best of your ability. And stop trying to figure this out. I don't believe in marketing. I know that sounds very, very strange, but I recently just took a class that was offered. It was a free course for a faculty member in a platform that I belong to. It was for the Shift Network. They're really nice. They take really good care of us. And I learned that I'd actually accomplished all the goals that I hoped I had accomplished. I know that sounds weird, but I've never taken a business class. This is my very first one. And you get to learn, uh, that you want to do the things that bring you joy. If social media doesn't make you happy, wait, it could somehow. A lot of people ask me how much time I spend on Facebook. I don't even spend time every week on Facebook. I have a personal Facebook page, but that doesn't make me happy. I love to post things, but I don't post very often. My assistant posts the videos that we make from these podcasts on social media. But I recently was inspired and spent about an hour putting some stuff on Facebook, which I loved. It was super fun. What is a great marketing tool for me, and you want to follow your joy. And I'm not saying that this social media won't be joyful for you. You just have to figure out first what brings you more joy. For me, radio, podcasting is how I market. And I don't think of it as marketing at all. I think about, I get to be near a microphone, which somehow makes me happy. And I get to answer people's questions. It's a way for me to give back. That doesn't have to be the umbrella, but this just happens to bring me joy. So do the things that bring you joy. That will be successful in getting your name out there so that people will know who you are, or they'll learn about you. And call it astrology. because human design is complicated anyway. And I think you do a whole bunch of things all together. So pick a title that, works for everyone, where people will understand what you're talking about. Just like I love the word perception. I think that's what I do all day, is help to change people's perception. But I chose the word energy because I'm moving energy to help people have a different perception. It's a more of a general term. It can make more sense to people. And then you can create some different aspects that come off of it. But just figure out what makes you happy. Stop trying to figure out that you have to market yourself. You don't have to market. Just do the things that make you happy, and people will be attracted to you. That's what I believe in. Okay, and I've answered this question before for you, so get going. Thank you.
Hello, Marie. This is Martina, and I just feel so disconnected from my spirituality. And I just want to know, can you scan me and see what my problem is, and why do I feel so disconnected? Why I don't feel like I just don't have no zest for life. I'm a particular age now. I don't know what I want to do with my life. I feel depressed. I'm going through
Right.
menopause. And I just really need some uplifting. And I just don't know what to do. I've tried so many things and nothing appeared to be working. I can't sleep at night.
Yeah. Oh.
And I just thought maybe you could do like a body scan or tell me something that I could do to get more spiritually connected to myself, because I feel disconnected. I mean, really disconnected. And I just don't have no zest for life anymore. I just feel like I've just lost everything. I'm just not happy.
Right.
So if you
Not
could help me
happy.
out with that, that would help. Thank you. I love you so much. You're the greatest. Thank you.
I love you too. And I know menopause for a lot of people can be challenging. Not getting enough sleep is really hard. I actually liked going through menopause, but spoiler alert, you never stop going through menopause. Not really. I mean, the hot flashes go away eventually or subside, but our hormones keep shifting. So I would definitely go get your hormones checked. I would consider taking HPA Adapt, which is an herbal formula that balances hormones first thing in the morning. But I would go have your hormones checked. You need to sleep. It's important. Sleep is critical. And I would see a naturopath. I don't know where you are in the country, because some states have a better, uh, you know, access to holistic medicine than others. But that's one of the things that I would do. But overall, and there's a female on the other side who's telling me this. She could be a grandmother. I hope your mother is still living. She tells me she's a grandmother. Is that you need to think positively. You tend to be a negative thinker. It's kind of like people who look at the glass half full. Like I always look at it as completely full. And they all perceptions have their pros and cons, right? But could you add some strawberries to that glass of water? Could you put a little bit more fluid in there, just a couple more ounces? Could you blow kisses to it? Could you start looking in the mirror, making beautiful eye contact with yourself, and start to say kind things to yourself? You also did not get enough nurturing. Older souls need nurturing. Everybody really does. But older souls, because they've spent so much time in other dimensions and they can feel the love of the heavens when they're out of earth. And then you come to earth and it's like, where did all the nurturing go? And it can make us feel lost and unconnected. You are very connected. The universe is right there next to you. If you could raise your vibration a little bit, you could feel it. I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. I'm Ida Ulrike from Germany, Bavaria. I practiced and learned a few things spiritually, but I don't have any clear success yet, or just don't see it. My specific question is there anything about my chakras I need to know? Are they balanced, or is there any chakra I should do something for to move on? Or is something about my organs I need to know? What do I have to do next or focus on so that my intuitive, spiritual, psychic abilities can grow for me for the next years? Thank you so much for your help. Bye.
You're welcome, Frida. I would do some detoxing physically for your body. you have a lot of heavy energy in your body, which I don't know if that means heavy metals, because of course I just, I'm still in it, but could you like don't eat sugar, don't drink alcohol, eat organic food? Maybe, although you're in Europe, so the wheat in Europe is much better than the wheat in the United States. Maybe eat less grains. But you need to do some physical detox, which could even be some emotional detox. When was the last time you cried? When was the last time you threw yourself down on the floor and had a temper tantrum? So toxicity could be from some of the foods you eat, but if you're listening to this and you're like, Marie, I eat great, then it's emotional toxicity. You need to throw yourself on the floor, kick and scream, and cry. That's what needs to happen. We need to get some energy moving into your body because there's too much stasis, too much heaviness of energy in your physical form. And connecting to our intuition is a very light, it's a strong light energy. It's not a heavy energy. So that's what I'm recommending that you do: emotional and or physical detox. I hope it's helpful. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Marie. Thank you so much for your work. My name is Cher, and I'm a huge fan of yours. So I'm not even quite sure how to phrase this question, but hopefully you can get the gist. I guess what I'm wondering is there's a lot of times where I really struggle with feeling comfortable in my own skin. And, there's a lot of times where I'm feeling relatively confident, but it's just it's definitely an energetic thing. And, I definitely notice like a resistance if I'm walking on a trail and someone's coming toward me. I often have this weird resistance to smile or be friendly. And it's almost like I want to keep in my own shell. And, I'll often be in a good mood, but yeah. And I guess I also definitely struggle a bit with, I don't know if I actually have social anxiety, but just people's eyes on me feels uncomfortable. And that definitely extends into a discomfort I feel around male attention as well. And I think I'm just at the point now where I'm a little bit annoyed with this way of kind of being in the world. I want to feel embodied. I want to feel, I just want to feel okay to be completely who I am and express myself and, feel okay to have attention on me and feel attractive and la la la. So, yeah, I would love any insight into that. I have been working on self-love, although I do find it challenging when I'm tired to have the energy to do it, but I am using your techniques. But even with that, I'm finding I'm still having this issue. And then my second question, if you have time, it could be really fast, is just any suggestions for the knee pain I've had for, I don't know, 15 or 20 years. I would really love to not have it anymore and have it interfering with my exercise and all of that. All right. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you. Bye.
Thank you, Cher. I'm grateful for you as well and all of you. So I think what you want is really great. A lot of times when people are afraid to be seen, those are the people who need to be seen the most. I remember I was about to teach a class at a bookstore and I was really, really nervous. It was one of my first big classes. When I first started teaching, I rented the library out at Montessori school and I would have like 8 students. It was like perfect. But now I was going to teach a class where there could be 100 people and the room was full. And I was backstage, before I went out, and I was very nervous and I was really shy. Now these things, like when people say to me, no, I'm a shy person, that's my personality. That's not a personality. That is a pattern. We are holding ourselves back. When you desire, you want to be seen, you want to crack a pattern, then your soul really wants to be seen. So when I was getting ready to go have this talk, I had a conversation with myself, and I cannot say any more than I already have, how critical it is to have loving, kind conversations with oneself. It doesn't even have to be out loud, just inside your head. So it would be fun, Cher, if you would say to yourself, honey, it's safe for you to have people in your life. Like you're on the path and you're scared to look in someone's eyes, or that's how you're interpreting it. We don't really know exactly what you're really feeling. That's what your mind is telling you. We don't know intuitively what is happening. We're safe, sweetheart, handsome, whoever is going to be talking to themselves. Use language that actually feels really good. It's okay. You can just look at them. You're safe. Everything's fine. It's okay to smile. That's what you would do to a child who is having a hard time. Or when I walk Charles, and there's some dogs who are scared of him because he's really tall. You know, he's a standard, so he's like a tall poodle. And little dogs are afraid of him, and those are his favorite dogs. He likes the little dogs. And I hear the owner saying, it's okay. He won't hurt you. He loves you. So when will you share? Talk to yourself and be loving and nurturing and kind to yourself without just thinking yourself is just going to change, without you giving it coaching and nurturing and compassion and pushing it forward so that it can go, oh, I actually like it out here. Oh, I really do want to be seen. That's what I'm suggesting. Thank you.
Hello, Marie. Thank you for listening to my question. My name is Stacy, and I'm in Northern California on the coast. And I'm wondering if it's ever really possible to know for sure if one was abused, sexually abused as a young child, maybe age 5, and to find out who the abuser was. I feel like this is still getting in the way of my relationships and just how I interact with other people. But I also sense that I can intuit when another woman has possibly experienced this as well. This started to come up for me during talk therapy, and it was what I felt in my body that allowed me to start to remember. And practicing yoga, I've been able to release a lot, but there's still this question. And my fear is that the abuser was my father, who I had a very good relationship with at the end of his life. And he was actually the person who raised my sister and I, as my mom abandoned us. Just before he was passing away, I was holding him and rubbing his hair, and he could no longer create words.
Yeah.
But he looked at me, and it just seemed like he wanted to say something.
Yeah.
And I just paused.
Yeah.
And the words that came out of my mouth were, I know, Dad, I'm okay. But I still often wonder what he was going to say, for sure. I'm so thankful that I was guided somehow to your podcast. This is perfect timing in my life. You inspire me so much. Thank you.
Hi, Stacy. It's such a tricky topic because for lots of reasons. Because sometimes men, because they tend to be the majority of abusers, right? Men will give off to their young female children kind of a sexual shame. And sometimes that can be interpreted as abuse. So especially if we don't have memories, right? We don't have memories, we don't have feelings, we don't know what's going on. So it's a tricky topic. Energetically, when I suspect someone has been sexually abused, because there's all types of abuse. And although humans give sexual abuse the worst, energy about it, which I think we need to recognize that all abuse is not good. And so that there's not so much shame when people have been sexually abused by someone. We don't want that shame to cover them for years. Like we look at verbal abuse, which is also very disruptive. Physical abuse that's like hitting and, hurting someone physically, that's not sexual abuse. That's also terrible. But we give all this attention to sexual abuse as if it's the worst. They're all not great. And all kinds of people abuse others, verbally, emotionally, physically, sexually, it happens. So So I just don't want you to put a lot of attention to trying to figure this out. I do not think it was your father. When I suspect a woman or a man has been sexually abused, this is what gives me the suspicion about it. I'm looking at their third chakra, and their third chakra will actually appear like a hole. So it's lemon yellow. It's supposed to be about 2.5 inches in diameter. Not everyone has a lemon yellow solar plexus, by the way, because it's connected to self-love. And so a lot of people don't love themselves. A lot of people don't even like themselves. So the color, what makes the color of the chakras pure and defined is when people hold the emotional component that chakra vibrates to, and the solar plexus vibrates to self-love. So yours does look like a hole a little bit. It's healing from the bottom. So I would say I would be suspicious, but I don't ever say that it's 100%. I've told a lot of people who thought they were sexually abused because their therapist told them that they were, who saw me. That doesn't mean a lot of therapists do this. It's just I happen to have attracted a certain percentage of people who had no memories, but their therapist told them that they were sexually abused, which I think is interesting. You had a different experience. You had a feeling inside your body. So that's different, in my opinion. But they didn't have a hole in their solar plexus. And so I was not suspicious of that. I just told them my findings, right? That these are my findings. I don't think it was your father. If you were sexually abused, I don't think it was your dad. I also don't think it was, and I don't want anyone to feel that I'm measuring that this amount is okay, or abuse is abuse. It's not, none of it is acceptable, and we all need to learn to be loving and kind to ourselves. But a lot of souls, when they come into earth and they have abusive experiences in their life, one of the things they want to learn, and they're hoping that abuse, I know, especially in childhood, we pre-order things. I know, it sounds terrible. But we're hoping that abuse will help us to become self-empowered, to recognize that we actually are worthy and valuable, no matter what someone says, no matter what they do, no matter how they behave. We are magnificent, no matter what. That's one of the reasons why they happen. It could happen for many other reasons as well, but there's always a coming together of souls to have an interaction. But I don't think it was chronic. I don't think it was consistent. I do think there was potentially an event that maybe happened more than once, but I don't think it was that doesn't mean that it's less terrible, or, again, I don't want to be measured by this. So please, people, do not write me anything about it. If this pushes your buttons, sit with yourself regarding it and see how you feel about it. Remember, I'm reading personally for one person. The information could be helpful for others, but this is personal. I read for the person who asked the question. Okay, so I don't think it was your dad. I just don't. Again, if your memories come back and you have your own experience about it, I want you to cherish and honor your own experiences. But I don't think it was your father. Perhaps an uncle or someone of that nature. I see like a party and nobody knows that it's happening. That's, and some fondling going on is what I'm seeing. And you are quite young, so it would be hard to have memories of it. Like you might be 3, you might be 4. So that's what I think. I hope that's helpful. And I made this decision. What brought me to these awarenesses is because your solar plexus has like a hole in it. When I see people who have been significantly abused, and not just sexually, it can be any type of abuse, I will see, but especially the sexual abuse, like a huge hole that goes all the way through their body. Yeah, and I don't see that. Yours just got like a dip, like maybe an inch deep into the body. Okay, I hope that's helpful. I hope nobody else is freaking out from this conversation, because these conversations are actually healthy for us. To talk about these things and to have different perceptions about them is also healthy. Okay, I think this is our last one before I go do other things.
Hi, Marie. My name is Dawn, and I'm calling from West Virginia. I have recently come upon your work, and I've gotten a lot out of it, so thank you for sharing your gift with all of us. I'm hoping you can help me with an issue that has come up in my life. My fiance died last October, and this loss has been the hardest thing that I have ever dealt with. It was very sudden and unexpected. Complicating the usual feelings of grief are several factors. First, though, our relationship was beautiful. In many ways, there were some issues with it. He had been married to a narcissist before he met me, and she wouldn't just let him go and be happy, despite the fact that she had. He had trouble letting go of the relationship also, even though it was toxic. He had other issues related to childhood trauma that he was finally working through with my help. We had just started to get past all our troubles when he died. Also, we were in the process of starting a business together. I had quit my job as a hospice nurse, and he was supporting me so that I could focus on the business. 2 weeks before our big launch, I lost my best friend, my cheerleader, my financial support, and my brilliant expert with 40 years of experience in the field. His old buddy, whom he had trained years ago and who was supposed to be our contact point, and he was supposed to train me, well, he suddenly ghosted me. I had to scramble to support myself, so I found a contract nursing job that tied me over while I figured out what was next for me. I planned to continue doing the business we had decided to do, but in a different way and with different people who will support me.
Yeah, great.
At least that's what I'm planning to do at this point. I'm left with a house that he bought me, but the mortgage is in his name, so I will have to refinance it. And right now it's not a great time, so the payment will end up being a lot more. All this to say that I was struck a devastating blow. As a nurse, you can probably understand when I say I'm usually unflappable. Nothing upsets me very much.
Yeah.
But this experience has left me in such a bad place, emotionally and financially and career-wise. I've been single most of my life, so that isn't the problem. I can manage being alone. But the relationship had changed everything so much that I don't know if I can go back to my old life. And the new one is gone, so it's like I'm starting over. So to the point, I know he's here. He visits me in dreams. He does things around the house like leave the liquor cabinet open. He also flickers the bathroom light at me. It's different depending on what's going on. I feel like he has something to say to me, but due to grief or resistance or maybe fear, I can't hear him. I think he has been orchestrating things behind the scenes for me.
Yeah.
Maybe he orchestrated my finding you.
That's very sweet. I didn't know that was going to be the end of the question. That's very sweet. I'm so sorry this happened, Dawn. Sometimes people go when their life gets amazing. Like imagine a soul's on the other side that maybe they want a good relationship. They love to have all these cool experiences. And then they say, whenever that happens, I want to go home. And so sometimes people can meet the right person. Things can start to move really forward in their life. And then, they already put the call out before they incarnated that if all of this happens, I want to go home. Excuse me. And then they go home. So it could be something like that happened for him. He just wants you to know that everything's okay, that just because he's gone, I know you would not say it that way, but that's the way he says it, doesn't mean you can't have the fantastic life of your dreams. He shared, get some roommates to help pay for the cost of the mortgage when you do the refinancing, so that when the rates start to drop, you can refinance again and then not have roommates. But get some roommates, some people who would love to live in the home and share space with you. And it'd be nice for you to have someone near you as well. I think that's great about the education from another person. The reason why that person ghosted you is just he couldn't handle the emotions of losing this friend. So some people are really bad when someone gets sick or someone dies, and it's not bad. They just don't know how to emotionally connect. They don't know how to help other people. They don't know how to have those difficult conversations. And so they just disappear. And everyone has had these experiences, maybe not around a death. It could be around an illness or a divorce where, their friends or people who were helping them just disappear out of their life. And you never see them again. They don't come back, at least rarely. But does this thing really bring you joy? That's what I'm a little bit curious about. I think it makes you happy. So it's a good next step. If it doesn't bring you joy, it's a good next step. If it brings you joy, then of course, that would be wonderful. He just wants you to know that even though he's gone, you can still have the life that you want. And he wants you to stay in the vibration as if he was there, not him necessarily, but that vibration of that happiness and all these things are working out. And I'm so lucky and I have someone to love. And here's the comment that I have. Stop worrying about other people so much. Stop trying to help people. I mean, at the beginning of this, you were very invested at the beginning of your question about his emotional health, his emotional well-being, about his lack of detachment from his ex-wife, things of that nature. I want you to be as equally interested in you, like the way he was interested in you, and he still is very interested in you. I want you to be curious about you, what makes you tick, what makes you expand, what gets you going. That's what I would like. I hope that's helpful. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening today. Today is July 31st, 2024. And I wish you all joyful blessings. Bye-bye for now.